Good evening and welcome to the September 9th Waterboro Board of Selectmen meeting. Everyone please rise and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any announcements? Okay, any additions or deletions to the agenda? Any appointments? A hearing or delegation? Okay, we have for correspondence Representative Libby's newsletters, and we have the motor vehicle agent's August 2014 report. Moving into reports, Selectmen reports. Jamie?
Nothing this week.
Dennis?
No.
John?
Pass. Pass as well.
Yeah, it seems like a quiet week. I have nothing either. Gary?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report's fairly lengthy this week. There's a fair amount of things going on. I'd like to inform the board that the draft for the personnel policy has been sent to Pat Dunn for her review and comment. We think we still have some work to do on the federal language, FMLA, and others, but we've made good progress. Going back to dog licensing and summons work, we've documented so far we have a little over 1,900 licensed dogs in town, with another 150 or so being investigated as to whether the dogs are still alive, and whether they still live here with their humans. Wade did not get back to me for a report tonight, so I don't have an update on most recent summons activity, but I know he has been issuing some. I was down at Gobeil Park last week with Ed Doggett. They'd like to put up a nice looking kiosk down there at Gobeil Park that has some history, maybe a map of the lake, a little roof over it, something that would look nice like you'd see in the state park. And they hope to do that next spring.
And when you say Ed Doggett and they, who's they?
I'm assuming he had his Lake Association hat on.
Okay.
I'm guessing. But maybe more than one hat. I'm not sure.
Has he coordinated that with the Parks and Rec director? Because I don't know where that kiosk is going to be, if it's going to interfere with any of that work we had down there on the drainage or any of the signage we intend to put up and stuff. I'd like to see it coordinated anyway.
We talked about that so that when he gets back with his design, we think both Mike and Doug should be in that next meeting so that we don't be putting stakes where they do not belong. This will be on probably 4x4 posts, if not larger. So, I also met with Roger Buffard, the abutter to Gobeil Park boat launch. Talked about boat launch issues that he's seen. We do have all the stencils. We need to find the time to get up there and get that painted, both the travel lanes as well as the tie-up only lanes. And we still have some signs to come in as well. Concerning the Good Neighbor mission and the trash coming from the North Waterboro Church, I spent quite a bit of time with the pastor up there in his office, and that's an impressive operation. 29 years they've been doing this, and I must admit they work very hard to not make trash. There's 50 to 60 bags of clothes going out of that little church every month to the Salvation Army. They supply a couple of garages with rags and do everything they can to not make household rubbish. They give things away to other flea market vendors. I've asked Dave Lowe to take a drive-by and see if the church could install a camera or two over there to see if that might cut down on knowing who's dropping off the things that they don't want, because their sign clearly says they pretty much only want clothes. So Dave and I haven't gotten together on what that could be, but I was impressed by how they do what they do up there, and they're working really hard to not overtax their welcome at the transfer station. Recently, actually it was Sunday evening, the Welcome to Waterboro sign was destroyed on Townhouse Road, and I've been talking to the insurance company for the driver. I've got the police report, and hopefully we'll get that sign replaced at no cost to the town. I went to the 2020 committee meeting last night where we pretty much wrapped up most of the governance chapter language, and you folks have that chapter. And if you want to add some comments to that, they're welcome by myself and the 2020 committee. I then went over to the Senate Candidates Night Forum last night, and 4 of the 11 candidates attended. We had about 25 people from 6 of the 12 group towns. The forum was sponsored by the 12-town group. And October, I think it's 13th, will be the next one with the House of Representative candidates coming. There's 20 of them invited. I don't know how many are scheduled to come yet. That will be at Central Station. I'm told that the Economic Development Committee is scheduling a business summit. It might be on a Friday morning in mid to late November, so we should stay tuned for more information on that. It'll probably be an entire Friday morning. We need a really good turnout from the business community. There'll be more information coming in the pipeline on that. Our people are going to be getting their tax bills either late this week or early next week. Processing is done. The data comparisons, according to our new assessor, is very good. So 99.9% agreement between the processing data and the database on the tax bills, or the database in-house here. Our tax club membership has gone up from 90 to 108 members for a total tax value of a little under $26,000. If anybody's interested in the tax club, they should contact Sharon here in Town Hall. People make 10 payments for the year rather than having to pay 2 large tax bills. So if that appeals to you, by all means, get a hold of Sharon here at Town Hall. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, new business. Discuss status of the town audit.
Chris Bachman would like to come here. I think it's the week of October 13th. And Julie and I are working away at the checklist, and he has enough information now to actually schedule to come here and get to work. We still have some other things to supply him as usual. It's a pretty substantial checklist, but they're ready to come and get started.
Are we prepared on our end as far as the reconciliation of our checkbooks and so forth? I know that had been an issue in the past, and I don't want to see it crop up again.
Nope, the monthly reconciliations have been done. I think there's one other figure that Julie and Chris need to work out, but 12 out of 12 or 11 out of 12 are complete.
So we're 4 weeks or 5 weeks away from him even showing up here? You said October 13th?
Yes.
Right? And that's just for him to start?
Well, he's been here once for the wrap-up of the year.
I mean, I would hope that by mid-October, they're have a draft to us, but they're not even going to start. I guess that's would be my concern. What's he gonna? What's happening between now and then? Is it just his schedule, or is it?
I would assume so. I can ask him if he can come earlier.
I mean, is there any reason he couldn't be here tomorrow? Are we ready for him to be here tomorrow?
At this point in time, we are. Yeah.
Didn't we set up a schedule a while back?
Yeah, but again, it's not in any contractual language with them. I think that's something that needs to be set down, and we had this conversation last year.
I know,
You know?
yeah. Let's make a note of that, Gary, that let's set up some contractual dates. So at least discuss it.
I mean, granted, we're the ones that start the whole process, right? Because we have to have our stuff in order. But once that's done, and I realize they have a whole bunch of different customers, but
Well, let me see if I can get him here shortly.
When Ron was in here, he told us a few years ago there was no reason why they couldn't at least have a draft to us by the end of September.
Well, in all fairness, I don't think our stuff's been ready for more than 2 weeks. So,
well, we fire the starting gun, right? So if we're late, then he's going to be late. But still, if what he's saying is, okay, I'm ready, I'll be in on October 13th. Today's September 9th.
mm-hmm.
So if we're ready, then, and I guess if he can't make it, I understand Ron's got a lot of clients, but he ought to have a lot of people working those clients if it takes him a month to schedule somebody to come in.
Well, let me see if I can move them up. I'll try.
All right. Would you like to jump into the charter changes, or you want to wait for a couple more members to come in? We can do other things. What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, there's no other things to do, so.
Well, I know, we can go through it, you know? We can kill a couple of minutes.
Last week, did we put away the possibility of doing something this November? Did we throw that out?
Time-wise, right?
Yeah.
No time,
Yeah.
no time. Okay. So let's start on the initial discussion of possible town charter changes. Who would like to start off with that? Dennis? I know you're biting the bullet.
Well, I'm not sure that, you know, I mean, I think the discussion that we've all had has been beaten around of how do we, I mean, the real crux of this is the lack of participation at town meeting. And, you know, I happen to bring, which we all have a copy of, the latest Townsman, and it talks about that same thing in multiple towns in Maine. In fact, if we thought we did well, the town of Wyndham, 12,000 registered voters, 25 people showed up at town meeting. It took them 9 minutes to approve $15,000. And that was a record because the last record was 12 minutes. So 15 million, right. So we're not alone in this. And the real question is, and what we started talking about is in this charter, we're allowed to, I say we, there's an out for eliminating town meeting and going to referendum voting. So the only way that you do anything different than what's in this charter is to go back and reinstitute a charter commission, but I'm not sure that gets you anything that you want either, because there's no, charter commission is not going to take directive from the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator. They're going to do what they feel is right and best, and that's the charter that we have now. And there's, I think when all's said and done, there's really not anything wrong with the charter. The fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where people just do not participate. The only restriction that I see of our inability to be a little more flexible would be in the charter. It's very hard over that the town meeting has to be held the second Saturday of June. Now, the previous charter that had, I think, a Saturday from March to June. So there was a little more flexibility, and then we had a vote, town meeting vote, that was allowed because it wasn't a significant change to the charter, that gave us the ability to change the voting day from Friday before town meeting to that's the second Tuesday in June or whatever. So, I mean, we threw around some ideas of, well, gee, what if we had town meeting in the evening instead of on Saturday? Unfortunately, we can't do that with the charter the way that it currently is. I guess there's been some suggestions of let's go back to a March town meeting. Unfortunately, we can't do that either because of the charter. So I think we have what we have, and the real question is do we just say, let's run this thing and see what the next few years bring us before we react to eliminating town meeting and going to referendum ballots, which just takes a vote of the town. That process is in the charter of how you do that. But I'm not sure. I think we're not alone in this. So our real reaction is, how do we get more participation? And I'm not sure you're going to get more participation at a town meeting, whether it's on a Saturday in March, April, May, or June. I just think that we're at a point where, and we're not alone. Like I said, if you read the Townsman, this month's Townsman, it's at multiple towns that have the same dilemma. So, in other towns, there's a general feel by the selectmen, this is great. You know, we put the budget together, it zips through, we got a lot of support. Now, I think what people miss a little bit is all the hard work that goes into trying to put together everything for the town meeting and the town budgeting process, which has to happen to a great extent. The town meeting piece wouldn't have to happen if you were doing referendums, but if you did referendums, then you'd have to have, you know, public hearings and those kind of things. So I'm not sure that the work goes away. I think it's, bottom line is that how do we get more attendance, and is that something that we should, or should we, and I guess I have mixed emotions. I don't see us jumping off and let's go get another charter commission, or at least get permission to do another charter commission. That's a long drawn out affair now. It's a 2-year deal to make that happen, and I'm not sure that that's the answer. And certainly, you know, there's the discussion that we banged around is, you know, should it be a council form of government or a selectmen's form of government? Again, that's a charter change, and that, you know, if some of us think it should be a council, charter commission doesn't have to come forward with that. They can say it's great the way it is. Or we're going to go back to 3 selectmen, or we're going to have 7 selectmen. I mean, so charter commission has the authority to do whatever they want to do and present that to the people. So I just, you know, I mean, the real crux of why we're talking about this is how do we get more people to town meeting? Because it's a shame to have 36 people vote on a $5 million budget in 1 hour and 46 minutes.
But I think that's indicative of everything that's going on in town. Look at all of our committees. How many of them are full? How many people are participating in that? And then the people that you do have on committees are sitting on 3-4 committees. So you have this small group of engaged citizens, pretty much, that are the only ones that are doing anything. And I don't know if it's because there's no such thing as a Monday through Friday work schedule anymore. You know, for people with kids are far busier nowadays than they were, I know, when I was a kid, or even when my kids were growing up, with multiple sports and activities and games on the weekends. And I think people are working more hours. So I think that people are shifting more attention, focus at home and what's going on with the family, and not so engaged in civic duties.
Any other thoughts?
I would agree. I think there's an expectation by a large segment of the citizenry is that we elected these people to do the job, let them do it, because I've got other things to do. And I think the sports issue is one thing. If they have multiple kids in different sports, they're running around to different fields at different times to try to at least participate in those family things. And if they have a child on a travel team, they're going out of town. I know my daughter and her husband are run themselves ragged because they get kids playing soccer and gymnastics and lacrosse and everything else. So it's difficult. And to a certain extent, I think that there's some just general apathy. People don't want to get involved in things. But like Dennis says, we've got to try to come up with some mechanism to get some involvement at least a town meeting once a year. And I don't know if it's changing the date of it or changing the time of it or what. I don't have the answer either.
I mean, it's interesting that, if you pick up, your magazine for the month, this professor at the Muskie School of Public Service is saying, Ronald Schmitz, he's saying low turnout is the new normal. The old town, robust town meeting is now a nostalgic, memory, basically. I remember when the building next door was full of smoke. That was nostalgic. That was, you couldn't walk in there and breathe. Well, you couldn't breathe after you got done.
John?
I think if you, if we went right now and talked about the limited town meeting to which about 30 to 40, 50, 60 people participate versus referendum, I think probably we might, I'm guessing, but I'm thinking maybe we stay with the town meeting because in a way, the lack of participation in the public will show up in a referendum vote too. You might not have 30 people, you might have 200 referendum votes, but of those votes, only 30 or 40 of them are really informed. So we say, okay, between those two, you got, maybe we stay with town meeting and try to get more people involved. And then comes, in the future, council. And I think that's where we're headed. The question is whether it's 2 years or 5 years. But my guess is that is the most, that's probably the most responsive type of government. It's representative. So I think maybe that's where we're going, but right now, I guess from my looking at it, before I go to referendum, I'd stay with town meeting until we have a charter change.
That's what we are.
I mean, even if you look at councils, there's no panacea there because now there's a movement to where, and I think it happened in Sanford, and certainly has happened in Portland, that there are certain things that a council typically will do that now there's been citizen referendums that said, if we don't like what you did, we have the right to now have a citizen's vote, right? So they're taking, I don't think any of it is the ultimate, the silver bullet, so to speak.
Doug or Steve, you got any thoughts?
I've always got lots of thoughts. You know, my years in public, I always believe that the quiet majority speaks the loudest. And people often don't want to listen to the quiet majority. They are the ones that do the talking, because when they don't speak, they're satisfied, or at least they're not totally dissatisfied. I think that it's important that we maintain, I like the town meeting form of government. Right now, I think we have 5 selectmen and an administrator that are acting similar to a council. You're making the decisions, and it's being confirmed by a handful of people who show up at town meeting. The quiet majority is speaking. They're not saying anything, so they're content. You know, you talk about the small turnout of people. What's the school budget, $30 million? And how many people vote over 6 towns? You know, you could put them all in this room and you probably wouldn't be too crowded. It's a disgrace that I have pushed for years that we go to a 2-billing system on our taxes. I strongly believe we should send out a school tax bill, and we should send out a town tax bill. Not both on the same paper. One done in bright red, one done in black.
Guess which color?
And I think that
The print doesn't show up too well, Brett, in black.
I think that it would bring a lot of people's attention to the fact that the town of Waterboro does not get all of their tax dollars. That the school system gets a lot of it. You know, I think you can work within the charter that you have now and make some changes that are not legal, but don't have any legal standing. They're legal, but they don't have any legal standing. I think if our
paperwork for town meeting was done in March or April, I think we could hold a mock town meeting at night, and you could see if you could get people out. You could do some kind of a volunteer mock town meeting members to see, you could try some of these things to see if they worked. They might not work, but if it did work, then you would see that it would be worth the effort to bring back a charter commission to change it. You know, when we were on the original charter commission, we felt that we didn't need a change the form of government. In fact, the talk was pretty strong to begin with. We were going to go to 3-member board of selectmen and not 5. Personally, never have been a favorite of 5 members, but we got 5, and if you work, you know, you had a finance committee, and they got, so we didn't have many people on it because the finance committee either had too much power or they felt they had too little power. So that went by the wayside. I think that, you know, we don't reward the people that volunteer, so therefore they don't volunteer. And I don't know how you change that. I really don't. I don't think you change it by doing things for them. I think they have to have some satisfaction out of being volunteers. And sometimes you get that and sometimes you don't. Most of the time I don't think you do. But I do think there are some options that are available to you. You know, the town meeting now has to be held on the second Saturday in June. It doesn't say that you can't start that at 5 o'clock at night. I don't know who would show up at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. Probably no more than will show up at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. But I mean, there are things that you can do. I've thought about this quite a little bit, and I think a pre-town meeting, if everybody had that information out in time, a pre-town meeting might stir up interest enough so that you could actually take some straw votes and you could run it in the newspaper and people would get a feeling of how things were going to go at town meeting, and that might just stir up controversy enough to bring more people out to town meeting. Thinking a little bit outside the box, but you know, sometimes we got to do that. Something's got to stir up people's interest, and you know, that might be one way of doing it. You know, you stop and think about it. What is there to bring people to town meeting? We don't vote on town meeting day. I think that was, I'm never in favor of that. I think that kills the turnout at town meeting. We used to have the ballots separate up in town meeting and people were constantly coming and going. You don't have that anymore. You decided to do away with that. You know, maybe we should run town meeting concurrent with a school meeting, so we had all the people in the room at the same time. That would certainly stir up some confusion. You know, you hand everybody a paper when they walk in, you feel like I'm a criminal. I gotta have a paper to vote in my own town. Why do I have to have a blue paper? Everybody knows who I am. You know, so, you know, if you don't want them in, lock the door and don't let them in. But, you know, we give them a paper. Some of these things make people unhappy. So there's a few things you could think about doing. I don't know if any of them are any good or not, but they're all different ideas and what I've heard here tonight.
Thank you. Steve?
Well, several of us on the Charter Review Committee entertained the hope that our charter revisions would last for about 10 years. And in 10 years' time, who knows, if the population grows in the town considerably, maybe you do go to charter manager. Or if the population goes back to a few thousand people, maybe you go back to 3 selectmen. But I kind of viewed it, and I know a couple others did, as this charter as an interim thing to see what settled out. Now, we did have several of us, one thing that felt strongly about, and that was to beef up the job of the administrator with authority more or less commensurate with the responsibilities. And I think we accomplished that. But in terms of the participation, I think Doug has a point. If you aren't hearing from the silent majority, then you aren't too far wrong, because as I think it was Dennis said, in Portland, the people there, when they think the council has done something that they don't like, they're not at all adverse to rising up and smacking down the council. Of course, they have the added thing there where they've got a powerful mayor now, and they've got a powerful city manager, so they've got to figure that one out. But I think if the selectmen were doing something that the citizenry really didn't like, then you'd get your people out to town meeting. So in a sense, if you're not getting many people at town meeting, it may not be that people aren't paying any attention. It may be that they're satisfied with what you're doing. And I would hope that you'll go with the work that the Charter Commission did for a few more years anyway. Now, maybe you can make a case for giving a little more flexibility somehow in the date of the town meeting. And if you can make that case, that probably wouldn't be too difficult to get the citizenry to pass. And I think Doug has some intriguing ideas that you might try. Have your markdown meeting ahead of time and see what happens, and maybe you hear things that make some changes before you get to the actual town meeting. But all in all, I think those of us on the Charter Commission are hoping that the revisions we made will last a few more years and just see how things settle out. And in 4 or 5 more years, it may become apparent that you go to council manager, or maybe you go back to where you were, or maybe you just stay what you're doing. But I wouldn't jump the gun here, because I think if you're not hearing a bunch of unhappy people, then what you're doing is correct enough.
Thank you, Steve. Any follow-up to that? Gary, any thoughts?
I've been spending a lot of time thinking about sense of community and what we can do here, and I'm glad that the Economic Development Committee is having this business summit. I think that Waterboro Association of Business or some other group, hopefully in the future, would become more of a chamber-like activity, with an activity every month to start with. I floated the idea in the chapter that I drafted for the comprehensive plan, saying, how about if we started a Massabesic Chamber of Commerce with all the Massabesic towns in it, rotated between towns? Something else to consider there. There isn't enough in my mind of a community core here for monthly activities with speakers, suppers, and the whole gamut. But there are plenty of people to do those things here. I just don't think that they're organized with that leading organization to kind of take the lead. And that's why my comments about WAB and about a chamber seem to be cropping up everywhere. I think that's important. That's something that we're not doing enough of. Look at Old Home Days. We lost a wonderful event because we could only get 4 or 5 people on a committee that needed to be 15 people strong. And during that week, it pained me to not take one phone call. Gordon forwarded a few emails from people, from vendors, and a few people that wanted to volunteer. But I didn't take one phone call for people that were upset that the event wasn't happening. That really surprised me. It disappointed me also. I think that tells you the level of the problem if we can't take a really fun, wonderful community event like that and get enough help to pull it off next year.
All right. I think we've used up that. Thank you for coming in. Yes.
I I've asked you people to go to Public Works Director for some time. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or anything, but.
I mean, got a personal one, kind of, the sign came down at the head of my road, and it looked like, I'm not sure how you put it back, but it looks like there's kind of a slot, and put the sign in the slot, but it was pretty wiggly, and it didn't seem like there was a hole through it to put a bolt or a screw, so I took a vine and stuck it down there, and I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I'll just kind of give you a heads up on it.
A vine? A vine?
But I'm wondering when we've lost some, when people have mentioned we've lost road signs, if they could have fallen off, maybe like they did with me.
Well, the brackets that they make to hold those signs up there are limited in scope. There's only one or two type, and they use set screws to hold those in there.
The Allen
What's
screws.
that?
The Allen screws out there.
Yeah, they are, and they usually hold pretty good. We lose some signs. Most of the signs that we lose are through vandalism. People get ripping them off, and we find signposts and signs and everything missing. Every once in a while somebody will come dragging one back and say, I found this side of the road somewhere. It's 5 miles from where it was supposed to be. So, you know, I don't know if as a board you've noticed the increase in people who are converting their residence around the lake to more full-time than they've been, or how many we've had. And some people say, you know, well, you did quite a lot of work on this particular road. So I think it was last week I came and picked up Gary and we went over on the West Shore Road. Do you have any idea how many people are now living on the West Shore Road?
A bunch, but I'm not sure what the number is.
And I'm getting a lot of people say, you know, they walk, their kids go out to get on the bus and it's unsafe because there's a couple bad places. And so I took Gary, we went out and looked at that. Do you remember how many mailboxes you counted at Amy Lane?
I think it was 2.5 dozen.
I think it was 32 or 33. That's just there at Amy Lane. And a lot of these people are there year round now.
And further, and they got those couple of streets that loop down in there too.
And there's been 3 places converted this year to year round, plus the others that were year round, plus the ones that didn't have to convert that are living there. So the traffic on these roads is increasing significantly. And, you know, we've got to address that. And I'm just not sure. I'm going to put together a to-do list and submit it to everybody. I talked to Gary about it. And just to bring you kind of up to date on, you know, where we are and what we're going to need in the foreseeable future to continue to try to improve the quality of roads and road care in the town of Waterboro. I think that we've, you know, upgraded a lot of roads. I think things are looking good, but we're getting a tremendous, I can't tell you how many calls I get a week on, is this road a town road? Is that road a town road? How come this road is an abandoned road? How come these people can drive up this road? And I want to build a house on this road, and I know it's discontinued or abandoned, but if I build a house on it and put money into fixing it, I'm going to block it off so nobody else can come through there. Well, if you read the last letter we got from Ken Cole on that, he clearly states that these roads have a public right-of-way through them. They are open for through vehicles and recreational. Sometime you people have got to deal with the McLucas Road. It's a volatile issue. It's not gonna go away, and it's the Board of Selectmen that's gotta deal with it. You've gotta make a decision on what you're gonna do. You're either gonna follow the advice of your attorney, or, you know, we're gonna do something different. You know, we gotta look at the way we're spending our money and see if there's a way to better spend our money. And, you know, Gary and I have met with the people at the transfer station on the salt shed. The DEP Gary's been up there and spent time up there, and we met with these people, and they promised us they would have results, and nothing happens.
November 1st is when they still say they're going to submit their final report, and they have not done any field work yet, so.
They were gonna, when we started, they were gonna have this all done. If the board remembers, they told us, DEP said they'd have an answer for us in 6 months, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. And we're still, now we're at November 1st, and hopefully we have something, but we have, you know, we have a lot of issues that needs to be addressed. And our budget ideas have got to change. And, you know, where's the money going to come from to do all of this? I can assure you, if you put through all of the ideas that I'm going to put forward, you probably will have a much larger turnout at town meeting. Because you could take a tax rate from 12.5% to 18 or 19% pretty quick. And, you know, has anybody got any complaints or ideas?
Now, these issues that need to be addressed, Doug, are you going to write those up or present them to us?
Well, they're things that I see that need to be addressed, okay? The calls I get on these abandoned roads, what are we going to do about classifying them? I have no authority to tell people what they are. Gary's been kind enough to send stuff over the box to people and you know, share what information we have with them, but, you know, eventually somebody's going to rear an ugly head up and they're going to come after us. I mean, we've got people up on this road over here that well, I fixed this road, so now I'm going to put a gate up. Well, you know, you can't put a gate up. And when I was selectman, I remember signing a warrant where we paid upwards of $30,000 in legal fees to have a road determined that there was a public right-of-way through it. And, you know, what did we gain by it?
I think we just got done with one of those. Right? I went through the courts.
Which one?
Gobill Park.
Back the road,
No, Gobill Park.
oh, through Gobill Park,
Yeah.
Easement lives, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there you go again. I mean, we've spent a lot of money. I think we should channel some money into having legal people, not lay people, but legal people. I mean, we got this, everybody says we have a Bible. We have a Bible of what a group of guys got together, or ladies and guys, or whoever it might have been, people, and said, well, this is what we think. But what we think, we don't know. Because, you know, if you look back, they'll tell you that the closing in 1955 was not done legally because they never notified anybody that they were going to. They just went to town meeting and supposedly closed all these roads. And then this letter we got from Ken Cole says that the state statute changed and that these roads have a public easement. And then you've got these paper streets over here in by Laughing Loon that's going to come up again to bite you, what, 6 or 7 years from now? You've got to decide what you're going to do with them. And if you don't make the right move and re-up them paper streets again, there's going to be a whole bunch of people over there that's not going to be able to get to their places. And, you know,
Got the same thing with paper streets up on East Shore Road.
and we got the same thing on the paper streets over here on East Shore where they made them move the house.
Yeah.
I mean, and people look to the town and, you know, the people here at Town Hall said, well, call the public works director. So I get a call and I don't know what to tell them. I tell them that, you know, they probably better have an attorney do some research, because, you know, and one of these guys is gonna come along, or ladies, or legal beagles, is gonna come along and they're gonna say the town's wrong. And then we're gonna end up building a mile of road somewheres where we don't want to. I've had an ongoing thing with, why did we name the Blueberry Road to Blueberry Road on one end and Blueberry Lane on the other? Never knew it. But I guess that's the way it is. And now people are using it to walk on, they don't want anybody to drive on it. Well, they've been driving on that road for a long time. And, you know, so it continues to, the problem continues to, it's not getting less, it's getting more. I just had a call today. Why do we only work on 300 feet of Long Causeway Road? Well, because that's all it's a town road. Well, we pay taxes. And these people just didn't want to quit. They were like piranhas. They had a hold of my ear and they were going to keep it. You know what I mean? And we get all of that. Why do we stop plowing the Ross Corner Road 500 feet before the pavement starts? Because the guy that built it never built it. And why did the previous road commissioner, why did he grade my road another 500 feet beyond that? And why won't you do it? Because it's a private road with public access. And, you know, after a while, these people are not happy. And most of the time, their displeasure is aimed at me. And, you know, that's all right. But,
Well, you have a way to deflect that anger
Oh, he does.
to your boss.
He does. We share it.
I do. I bring it to him, but you know, you try to take care of some of it, you know, and deflate it. But I mean, these are issues, and they're all costly issues. They're not freebie issues, okay? And when you created this position, or when the charter created this position, or whoever created this position, it gave it a lot of different things. You know, building maintenance. You can do maintenance on building, but what, you know, how are you going to maintain anything if you don't have any money? And there's no money. There's no money to do that.
We have some money for some selected projects.
Yes, but as an overall thing, we don't have a good long-term maintenance program.
Doug and I are gonna work about adding some new budget lines to not just have things all in one pot, saying municipal buildings. We need to separate some things out, both for public works as well as for town buildings.
I think that if you look around, you'll see that as the public works, I don't know if any of you have noticed the work we've done at the fire station. You know, we've opened it up so when they come out of there with their equipment, they can see the intersection. The new sign, we did the work around the ground and they built the bases. We'll finish that project tomorrow. We've taken down a lot of trees. We got work to do with the library. But, you know, this all consumes time. And my mighty crew of two, you know, is pretty busy. So I've taken enough of your time, but there's a lot of things to think about. And one of the big things to think about is where's the money gonna come from?
Show me the money.
Issues. Is it feasible at all to start a systematic program where the town reclaims a lot of these roads that were so-called abandoned? I know that it raises its head every now and then in here. Things Mills Road is one of them, but we've got, the town has done some work so far up, but they don't do it anymore because it was years ago. And is it a public way or is it a private way with public access? And I mean, that road can go all the way through over to Buckbrook and around through there. That cuts off a lot of territory for people, you know, that need to travel to that area. And you know, how feasible is that to music. I mean, I know that money's an issue, but
Well, I mean, look at the Chadman's Ridge Road. People
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
say that, oh, the Chadman's Ridge Road is discontinued, is abandoned. I've been working on town roads in this town for 50 years. Okay? And I can tell you what, that road has never stopped working on that road. Town money has always been spent on that road. We talk about the Things Mills Road. You get to Mike Hickey's, you went beyond that, they didn't spend any money. Then John Monteith jumps up at town meeting Monday, and we appropriated $10,000. We built that road into that house, and then they said, oh no, it's not a town road, it's a private way. Well, why'd we spend 10,000 public dollars and then say we can't spend any more? You talk about the McLucas Road where they're shutting it off. Go back and look at that. We put 3,000 tax dollars on the McLucas Road when the Allens built their house in there. They did some work on it. They came to town meeting, and town meeting authorized $3,000 for the McLucas Road. I think that almost opens that up as a road. And, you know, now they've put a gate up there. That's not right. It's not right. We put money on that road. You go up on the Deering's Ridge Road and go back and look, and we expended $5. We expended $5 on that little road that goes across, what's the name of that road? They use it as a driveway, so that,
Night Road?
no, so that
No,
Smith's,
not Road.
Smith's
Johnson.
daughter, what's that, the Johnson Road. So that Smith's daughter could get power up through there because it was gonna be abandoned. The time had run out, so we spent $5. Bob Fay hauled a load of gravel up there and dumped it at the end of the road and spread it with a hand shovel. So to keep that road open, and it's in the town record that they spent $5 on that road. Guy Bagley hauled a king drag down from the Milk Road all the way through with a 55 Cadillac with he and Etta sitting in the front seat, okay? And I took an HD9 bulldozer, I took an HD7 the first time, and took an HD9 the second time, and we leveled that road all the way through there. So that road hasn't been abandoned, okay? We did down over the Carpenter, they call it the Carpenter Road in Elford. We can't say what the name of it is in Waterboro because it's not politically correct. I don't know what the name of it is, it's never had an official name. But anyway, they call it Sty Hill. And, you know, that road. But every one of these roads, you know, we have spent money on. I have gone across the Ross Corner Road with Bob Fay and Guy Bagley and put culverts in there. When Al Cameron put the dam in at Shy Beaver and flooded that whole thing, he flooded that road, and they made him lower the dam because we had a town road through there. Now they say it's not a town road. I've worked on it in my lifetime many times, put culverts in there many times. It's like the Ospey Hill extension where we did the work on. People said, oh, that's not a road. I plowed that road all the way through with a 36 Walter. So these roads haven't all been abandoned.
Thank you, Doug. Old business. Others. Discuss, vote, to approve minutes of the April 26, 2014 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, and approve the minutes of August 26th. Those in favor? Okay. Discuss and vote to approve the minutes of September 2nd, 2014 special meeting.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the minutes of September 2nd, special meeting. Those in favor? Okay. Review status of the annual town meeting. I think we've
Did that.
did that, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, week's action list. Could we maybe start gathering some information on this with Lucas Road? Okay. Let's see. Is it the next meeting, Christine, at principals coming in?
Yep.
Okay.
This an annual affair for the principal?
Yes.
It has been the last couple of years, I think. Anything else that needs to be addressed?
I guess just a point of information I should have put up above. I'll be going to the school board meeting tomorrow night. We may very well be given a bus for a heating and cooling station for firefighters, a bus at no charge, one that they're retiring. It seems to be in good enough condition to do that. And we've also been in conversation with them because tomorrow night I think they're going to vote on the athletic improvement question or lack thereof. The board's going to actually take a vote on that.
So they,
What's that vote gonna consist of? Whether or not they're gonna put it before,
The voters,
the voters at a special election or at the general election?
November 4th.
Okay.
So they have to approve it tomorrow night.
They have to have
Put
a
it-
ballot to
Right.
us. I mean, absentee voting starts October 7th.
Right.
We have to have that ballot at October 3rd at the very latest. I'm asking for it by September 26th. So,
Yeah.
no more tomorrow evening.
okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You have
Second.
things to sign, Christina? I don't see you.
We have two things, supposedly.
I forgot to leave it for.
Okay, and then we can sign those afterwards, right? Move to close the session. Did I hear a second? Second. Okay, those in favor? Okay. Done.